everyone, hope you're all doing okay. Welcome back to the channel and a new video on the Lombardini Generator. I know in the last video we didn't know the year of the actual engine or the generating system itself. We have looked into that a bit more and we can confirm it is a 1993. So we was kind of right, barking up the right tree there, 90s, but we didn't know the exact year and now we do. Again, we are in the paint booth today, so it's quite echoey, so you'll have to bear with us. The sound may be a little bit different. So in the last video, you would have seen there was still quite a few little bits left to do, building it back up before we could run it. Now, these brackets that Chris made up, we didn't have any for the other side. He's now made those up. He got some bar, run a thread down them, put nuts and washers on them. Now they're ready to go, so we can get on and do that. A couple of other things he's actually fitted while I haven't been here. He's been doing this in the evenings when I'm not around, so unfortunately I didn't get to see it, but he's fitted the inlet manifold and the air filter. The exhaust manifold, I'm not sure if that was on there last time, but that's on there now. And we was waiting on some parts. Well, it was actually an exhaust silencer because it was missing. That has now arrived, so we've got that there, but the heat shield's missing. Again, Chris made one of those up while I wasn't here, but we are going to go out there in a moment and he's going to do a bit of a demo on how he made it. Also, the wiring harness, the control panel, it didn't have one with it. So he's made that up, put a breaker on there, so that's ready to plug up and start doing now. So let's go out and see how he made up that heat shield. I think it's really interesting, and that's why I wanted to include it in this video. I've just gone out and quickly grabbed it before we go to that folding machine, and I wanted to just pop it on the top there and show you. Very smart. Now this actual piece of metal, we got a big sheet of it from the scrapyard quite a while ago, and we've been using it on various projects, but Chris had some offcuts, so he's got a little bit in his hand there ready to go, and I said we'd really like to show it, him actually putting the folds in it. So swage. I'm going to try and capture as much of it as I can here for you. Yeah, lovely. Also, Chris has got another tool that was absolutely free of charge, and it is the best tool. Chris, show us, how did you get that curve in there? But works absolutely perfect, doesn't it? Yeah. And you haven't got a tool for that.
Oh,
so it's only light, yeah, but that's worked perfect. So let's get on and get that all built back up and get it running. Chris just started making the leads up for the battery and for the starter motor, and you can see that he's made the positive one up there, but we didn't have a negative battery terminal round post. So you would have seen it, I just whipped down to the local auto electricians there, where he hooked me up with one of those and a crimp for the other end. So we're going to get on and make that lead, and then we'll have power from the battery to the starter motor. Bit of an update how we're getting on. You would have seen there on time lapse, Chris has just filled it up with diesel. He's put those 2 rods in there to support the tank as well. He's got the live feed on there for the battery, and all of the controls are now plumbed in. Don't forget guys, all of this is temporary. Once this is secured in the outbuilding where it's going to be used as an emergency generator, this is all going to be fixed to the wall. So looks very, very tidy. We don't expect anything less really with Chris doing it. He is a bit of a perfectionist. Moving round to this side, we have got a bit of a technical error on one of the diesel stops there. Chris didn't realise he's made that wire a little bit too short, so he's going to start working on that in a moment and just extend that down to here. But he was just explaining to me there about it's got 2 stops and they're identical. So we're also going to bleed it up, but we've got to power it up before we bleed it due to obviously the stops. So we need to power it up, and we're going to bleed it up with the silencer removed because everything is a lot more accessible to get to. So we are going to crack on with that, hopefully get that bled up, get that wire extended, get that repaired, and then move on and do all the other little jobs on it. But fingers crossed, well, I think we'll be staying here until we get it running. That is the plan. Let's get on. Got the wire extended there. Chris is just going to get some ties and tie that in nicely so it's nice and tidy. The battery's fitted and everything seems to be going okay. I was going to wait until we was ready to start the process of bleeding this up, but I wanted to cut in now just to say Chris has ordered some rubber feet for this, and they're going to be going in here. Now they actually arrived today. Sorry, under here, I'm pointing at the wrong bit. Some rubber feet to stop the vibration. This is going to vibrate quite a lot. And he ordered the feet, and he's been waiting for them so that we can ultimately get this video finished. And they arrived today. They took quite a long time to come, and it was quite disappointing. He's just passed them to me. They've arrived. They're actually plastic, and that's not what he wanted. He wanted rubber feet, so he's going to be sending those back. Also wanted to just give you a bit of a pre-warning. Obviously this is going to be very, very noisy, so when it does fire up, because it is going to fire up, it is going to be loud. You're not going to hear us, and we are only going to run it for a short period of time, and then we'll plug up the electrics and show it working, and it'll be the first time for us that we've seen it working as well. It's just, I did want to give you all a bit of a heads up and a bit of a warning about that, because obviously it is an old diesel engine and it wasn't made to be silent. We are ready to get cracking with the process of bleeding up this engine, generator, whatever you'd like to call it. The filter, like you would on a car, this is the diesel filter, but Chris did pre-fill it. That really does help. And on a van, or any car you're working on, you'd always pre-fill a diesel filter anyway. It's taking half the air out and already sort of half priming it, if that makes sense. So we've cracked off the little nipple on the top. No, we haven't. We're gonna in a moment. And then we've got a manual little pump here to pump it up and bleed it through. Once we've bled it to there, we'll then go up here and we'll bleed it up to the diesel pump. Once we're done there, we'll crack off the injectors. Hopefully we'll have diesel all the way to the top. I'm going to be around the other side. I'm on the ignition here, and I've got to turn it on and off because obviously it's got a stop solenoid while Chris goes ahead and does that. You ready, mate?
Yes, mate.
2 clicks.
Yes, diesel straight there, mate.
Oh, right, okay, so
gravity is fed it.
It's gravity fed that tank down to there, and where we've literally had that there, well, it's been on there now for a good hour. It's actually gravity fed, and it started coming out of the bleed nipple already. So now we're going to actually move on to the diesel pump itself, injector pump, and get the diesel up to there. My head's probably in the way actually, I'll stand out of the way. We just thought that we'd do it like this, and it just shows you a bit more of it and explains it as it's going. Again, I know it's quite echoey in here because we are in the paint booth. That's going to take quite a few pumps, Chris. I don't mind pausing for a minute.
Yeah, it shouldn't take long.
old school manual pump. While Chris is doing that, I'll just show you, we've got the electrical box down there on the floor and you can see the red lights on the ignition system. Guys, we will pause there just till Chris gets it up to the next stage and then we'll cut back in exactly where we left off. Took quite a bit of pump in there, guys, so we cut off because I didn't want to keep you standing there. But yeah, we can just about see that, mate. Give it a couple of little... Yeah, I can see that coming out of there. So we're now primed right up to the injector pump. So Chris will tighten that up and then we'll move on to the injectors themselves. We'll leave that running for a minute, or is that quite...
Yeah, we're going to put the exhaust on.
Oh yes, we're going to bolt the exhaust on. Now we can do that live, it's not a problem, it's only 2 bolts, isn't it, and a bracket. We stick the heat shield on after?
Yeah, after. Stick this
Sorry guys, I'll keep putting myself right in the way of the... Let me do that bottom one, Chris. Keep putting myself right in the way of the camera there. I thought we'd stay recording here because I knew it was only these 2 little 13s. I see the nuts on there earlier, but Chris had already prepped it and had the nuts off, so... Right, that's that done. Shall I put the heat shield on or should we do that?
We can do that
later?
after, can't
Yeah.
we? Just...
Because they are Allen keys and we've not got an... Yes, we have got an Allen key. Yeah, we'll stick that on after, that's not a problem. Again, it's quite small moving around the engine there and the generator. Sorry, I'll keep calling it an engine. Chris keeps saying, no, Rob's a generator. And he's right. But we keep moving around in here and it is quite tight with 2 of us in here. We are going to pause there for a minute just till we get another spanner for the... No, Chris has got that. Hold that full. I'm just going to try and show a little bit of what you're doing there, Chris, if that's all right.
Yeah. Just cracking the injector feed pipes, that's all.
Chris, a lot of people reached out in the last video with the same comment. I think you picked up on it as well.
Yep.
The horsepower of this.
The
KVA.
44 horsepower.
Yep.
Don't rev very high though, only about 1500 revs,
Right.
very torquey. Can't remember the kVA, it's on there, I think 22, something like that.
20.
It's dual voltage, you can run it 22 kVA.
22 kVA, so it's quite powerful.
Yeah, 3-phase or single.
We'll run the whole village on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're ready now to start priming them up. What I'm going to do, guys, save sitting here watching us pump that again. We're going to cut off, we're going to pump that up, get it up there, get them all nipped up, and then we'll move on from there. I was getting a bit ahead of myself there, and like I said, this is not something that I'll specialise in, not something I normally do. And just as I cut off there, Chris said, Rob, we have to do this live because we're going to be wanging it over and it's going to be trying to fire until the air's out of the system. So we have both got our ear defenders on. I'm going to leave the camera position there and I'm going to be wanging it over till Chris shouts at me. So if it does fire up, again, here's a warning. It's going to be very, very noisy, but I'm going to be spinning it over while Chris is bleeding up them injectors. Say when, mate.
What, mate?
Anything?
Nothing.
Again?
Yeah. Nothing. A bit of drip of diesel there.
Coming out of...
I don't know. Pipes loose up there.
Yeah, might have a little bit of an air leak here. Little bit of diesel dripping out of there. Spins open nice.
You just turn that ignition on, but don't crank it.
Yeah, it's on, mate.
Just turn it off.
Yeah.
And on. Yeah, I'm not sure about that top solenoid, you know.
Not sure if it's clicking.
I don't think it is. Can you turn it on to position 2?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is working.
Yeah.
Yeah, both working.
We're going to pause there while we investigate. Chris was just saying there, he did see a little bit of diesel leaking out, and he said, Rob, you know what it's like, you go home, I'll come in here, I'll start messing around. He said it gets to 7, 8 o'clock and think, well, I've got to go and have my tea, then it gets left for another day. And all 3 of those diesel pipes, it actually left undone. So that was the problem why we wasn't getting any diesel up at this end. So we're going to pick back up exactly where we just left off. And Chris just said there was all diesel coming out of them. So once we pump it, it should start coming out of these. So back on the ear defenders and back on the crank. Don't forget to shout at me.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Ready?
Yeah, go for it. That was going.
Sorry?
That was going, cool.
Getting a bit smoked out in here, guys. We're going to step out for a minute and then come back in a sec. We had to cut there and turn the extraction on. We completely forgot. And as well, Chris did say the reason it started farting about, it was sucking too many amps and cutting off those fuel relays. Possibly. So we have chucked the jump pack on the battery as well. I'm just going to tell you now, that battery is off that Jaguar that we bought as a parts car. So it's very, very old. And we only use it for jobs like this, so it doesn't hold a very good charge. Let's carry on. I do get carried away with a waffle, Chris, don't I?
Never mind.
Let's get involved.
Go on, mate.
I just watched that back and you could not hear a thing I was saying. I was going on about, on the white panel there, you see that red light? As soon as Chris started it up, that's the oil pressure, it went out instantly, so we've got great oil pressure. I've just said to Chris, we'll open up the spray booth, I'm going to stand outside, we're going to let him run it up one more time, and then after that we'll move on to the generating side of it and see if we've got output and try and run something off of it. Ready when you are, mate.
running at full revs. 1600 RPM, about 1600 RPM. It's not running itself out all day, is it? So let's move on to the generator side of it and see if we can get something to run off of it.
Generator side of it. This is something that Chris has made up temporarily, purely to test it out. Induction meter, did you say, Chris? Yeah. And then obviously you've got the plug. We've got a large plug here and we've reduced it down to a 13 amp socket. Now I just said to Chris, what have we got that's really, really noisy that we can plug in? He said, what? I said, we're not going to hear anything over that, it's too loud. So what we've decided to do is we've got a lamp here, 13 amp plug, and that's going to be the only way really to prove the generator inside of it. Because it's so noisy, we're not going to be able to plug nothing in and run it because you're not going to hear it. So Chris is going to crack on and get that wired up. I've just put on that heat shield and I think you'd agree, that looks really nice. It actually looks really smart and looks like it belongs on there. As usual, any questions or comments on this engine, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it and we really would appreciate it. I'll let Chris get that done, we get it fired up and hopefully, fingers crossed, that lamp lights up. Okay guys, so that's all been plumbed up now. We've got the light all plugged in at the back there. We're going to keep our eye on it and hopefully that light comes on.
Do you want to put your ear defenders on?
Go for it.
All right?
Yep. Video this has been to make, and to be honest, I ain't stopped laughing. I've just watched this back and I said to Chris, listen to it. I'm trying to talk over the top of it and I've watched it back, and no matter how I try and change the volume, you cannot hear a word I'm saying. I was actually talking about the oil pressure light and you just couldn't get one bit of it. But yeah, hats off again to Chris. He's done that from start to finish. That's sat around for a long time. Sorry, I know I'm a little bit wafty. I think the tripod, I've shut it in a door. So yeah, it's been brilliant to make. He's done all of that on his own again, and that's going to be fitted inside his outbuilding. I do feel, luckily for him, his nearest neighbour's probably about half a mile away because he'll be playing with that. You know he will. He'll be testing it out and he'll be trying to run, well, he will ultimately be wiring it in so it does run the whole small holding that he's got here. So if you did enjoy the video, please do give us a thumbs up. We sure do appreciate it and it shows your appreciation. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram where we put out little sneak peeks, lets you kind of know what it is that we're up to. I'm not going to drag this video out any longer. It is a nice long one and we do hope you enjoy it. We'll see you very, very soon in the next one.